Hey everyone, ready to dive into a book that's really shaken up how people think about money.
Yeah, it's definitely a classic, even if it ruffles some feathers.
We're talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad
Mhm.
by Robert Kiyosaki. It's been kind of controversial.
For sure. But that's what makes it so interesting, right? It challenges the traditional ideas about work and wealth.
Exactly. So today we're going to break it all down for you. What are the core ideas? The stuff that really sets apart those who achieve financial freedom.
Right. The principles that can help anyone get ahead no matter where they're starting from.
Okay, so I think the first thing that really hooks you in the book is Kiyosaki's personal story, right? Growing up with these two father figures, his own dad and his friend's dad.
Yeah, that's the part that really draws you in. You've got his own dad, poor dad, highly educated, a secure job, but always struggling financially.
Right. And then there's Rich Dad, his friend's dad. Didn't even finish high school.
But built this huge business empire.
Like, how is that even possible? It goes against everything we're taught about success.
Totally. And that's where Rich Dad, Poor Dad flips the script.
It's not about your job title or how much you earn.
It's about your financial intelligence.
Okay, whoa, hold on. Before anyone quits their job, let's break that down a bit. What exactly is financial intelligence?
It's about understanding how money really works. Not just how to earn it, but how to make it work for you.
So, like, not just working for money.
But having your money work for you, understanding things like assets, liabilities, investing, and building systems that actually generate wealth.
I'm starting to see where this is going. It's like,
Mm.
you need to know the rules of the game.
Instead of just playing by someone else's rules.
And Kiyosaki, he doesn't shy away from controversy, does he? I mean,
Mm.
one of the most shocking ideas in the book is his take on home ownership.
Yeah, that's the part that really gets people fired up, huh? He says flat out, your house is not always an asset.
Wait, seriously, isn't owning a home like the American dream? I'm going to need you to walk me through this one because my mind is kind of blown right now.
Think of it this way. Rich dad says assets put money in your pocket, okay? And liabilities take money out. Now look at your house. You've got mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, repairs.
Yeah.
It's money constantly going out.
So he's not saying owning a home is bad, right?
No, not necessarily. But it's not as simple as just assuming it's an automatic path to wealth.
You really have to understand the difference between an asset and a liability.
If you want to build real wealth, yeah.
Okay, so we've got financial intelligence
Mhm.
and knowing the difference between assets and liabilities. But how do you actually build wealth, achieve financial freedom?
Well, that's where the cash flow quadrant comes in.
Ah, yes, the cash flow quadrant. What is that all about?
It's Kiyosaki's way of explaining the different ways people earn money and how that income can shape their financial future.
Okay, sounds interesting. So how does this quadrant thing work?
There are four quadrants: employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor.
Okay, so it's like a map of your financial possibilities.
Exactly. Most people, they start out in the employee quadrant, trading time for money, working for someone else.
All right, the 9 to 5 grind.
Then there's the self-employed quadrant. You're your own boss,
More control.
but you're still trading time for money, just maybe with a little more freedom.
So those are the two quadrants most of us are familiar with. Where does the real shift happen? What are the other two quadrants all about?
The magic, according to Kiyosaki, is on the other side of the quadrant, the business owner and investor quadrants. In the B quadrant, it's about creating a system that makes money without you needing to be directly involved all the time. And the I quadrant is where your money really works for you through investments and things like passive income streams.
So it's about escaping that time for money trap.
Yeah, building something that works even when you're not working.
And that's where those wealth building strategies of the really successful people come into play, right?
Exactly. They focus on assets that create passive income, leverage other people's skills, and really become masters of the financial game.
This is getting really exciting. We're not just talking about working harder, we're talking about working smarter. But is this kind of freedom really possible for everyone? Or is it just a dream for most of us?
That's the question we'll be tackling in the next part of our deep dive. We're going to unpack those strategies and see how you can start applying them no matter where you're at right now.
Okay, so we've laid out some of those big rich dad ideas. Financial intelligence, understanding assets and liabilities, aiming for the right side of that cash flow quadrant.
Right, but how do we actually put all of that into practice? How do we actually use those ideas?
Yeah, what are the things we can start doing right now?
Well, Kiyosaki, he's big on tracking your finances. But it's not just about budgeting, you know?
What does he mean?
It's about tracking where your income is coming from. Like, which quadrant is it coming from?
Ah, so it's not just about watching what you spend.
It's about understanding the source of your income. Where is it actually coming from?
I see. So instead of just looking at my bank balance,
You look at whether you're building real wealth or are you just kind of stuck.
I'm getting it. Okay, so that's step one. What's the next step in this Rich Dad plan?
The next step is getting comfortable with investing. Kiyosaki really pushes back against this fear that people have about investing.
Yeah, investing can feel really intimidating.
Totally. But he says it's not risky. Not knowing how to invest, that's what's risky.
Okay, I can see that. But where do you even start?
It starts with learning. The more you understand about different ways to invest, the less scary it becomes.
So it's all about education.
Hey,
Don't just blindly hand your money over to someone.
Right, take control. Kiyosaki talks about things like real estate, the stock market, starting a business.
Diversifying.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And
Mm-hmm.
the sooner you start,
The better.
yeah, time is on your side when it comes to building wealth.
Okay, so we've got tracking income by quadrant, learning about investing. What else does Kiyosaki recommend?
The third thing is creating passive income streams. And he says you don't have to start big.
Hold on, passive income. What does that actually mean? What does that look like in real life?
Sure, like rental income from properties, or maybe royalties from a book you write, or music you create, even dividends from stocks.
I see. So things that make money without you constantly working on them.
Exactly. It could also be things like building an app or creating an online course, even doing affiliate marketing on a blog or through social media.
It's like building a system that keeps working.
Even when you're not, it's a long game, but it can pay off big time. And there are so many possibilities,
Kiyosaki wants us to see opportunities.
not just
I
obstacles.
think this is where that rich dad mindset really comes in. It's not just about tactics.
It's a whole different way of thinking about money.
Yeah, like a different way of seeing the world.
Kiyosaki talks about how wealthy people frame questions differently. Instead of saying, I can't afford that,
They ask, how can I afford it?
it's about solutions, not limitations.
Wow, that's powerful. It's about believing that you can create wealth.
And it's not just about money, it's about personal growth.
Always learning, expanding your skills.
The more you learn, the more opportunities you have.
Like that saying, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly. Embrace the journey.
Lifelong learning.
That's what we'll be diving into in the last part of our deep dive. We're going to look at some of those really high-level strategies that wealthy people use to build their wealth and how it all comes back to this core rich dad philosophy.
Okay, so we've talked about the basics, we've talked about some action steps, but now we're curious about those more advanced strategies, the things that really make a difference. What does Kiyosaki say about how wealthy people kind of play the game differently?
Well, one of the big things he talks about is leverage. But it's not just about using debt to buy things.
Okay, so what kind of leverage are we talking about?
It's about leveraging other people's time and skills, even their money.
So it's about working smarter, not just harder.
Exactly. Amplify your efforts, especially if you don't have a lot of money to start with, or if you're really busy.
Like you're the conductor, right?
Yeah, you're orchestrating everything. You build the system.
And then the system works for you.
That's the idea. But I guess some people might think that you can only do that once you're already successful, right?
Right.
You don't have to wait, though. Even starting small, you can find ways to leverage.
Like how?
You could barter skills with someone, maybe,
Uh-huh.
or collaborate on a project, or find a mentor who's already done what you're trying to do.
It's about shifting your thinking.
Yeah, instead of saying, I have to do everything myself.
You ask, how can I get the best results with the right people?
Exactly. And that ties back to the rich dad mindset, seeing the opportunities, not the roadblocks.
I love that. Okay, there's another area that Kiyosaki talks about that always seems kind of scary. Taxes.
Oh, yeah, taxes. Most people just try to avoid them, right?
It's like this thing we have to deal with, but no one really wants to talk about.
But wealthy people, they see taxes differently. They see them as a puzzle.
A puzzle.
Yeah, something to figure out. They understand the rules, they get advice from experts, and they use it to their advantage. They minimize what they owe, and they even use it to invest more.
So it's not about cheating.
It's about being smart.
But isn't that just for the super rich?
No, anyone can learn some basic tax strategies. Like if you have a small business, you can make sure you're using all the right deductions. Or maybe you just need to pick the best retirement savings plan. You just got to be proactive, learn the basics, and don't be afraid to get help if you need it.
Okay, that makes sense. It seems like a lot of this rich dad stuff comes back to this idea of always learning and growing.
That's one of the biggest themes in the book. The world is always changing, and you gotta keep up.
So the wealthy, They aren't afraid to challenge the status quo.
Right. They question everything, they learn new stuff all the time.
They read books, they go to conferences, they surround themselves with people who know more than they do.
They're constantly upgrading their knowledge.
It's like updating your software.
To stay ahead of the game,
They're willing to get uncomfortable, try new things.
so they can grab those opportunities that other people miss.
Wow, that's inspiring. So it's not just about the money,
It's about personal growth,
wanting to learn and improve yourself.
no matter how much money you have.
All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We started with those foundational rich dad concepts, like the difference between assets and liabilities. Then we explored that cash flow quadrant and those high-level strategies that wealthy people use.
Even though we can't guarantee you'll be a millionaire tomorrow,
We hope this deep dive has given you some ideas, some tools to help you on your own financial journey.
it's not about how much money you make.
It's about what you do with it. Understand the rules of the game and play to win. So take what you've learned and build that financial future you deserve.
And if you liked what you heard today, tell a friend. Share it with someone who might need to hear it too.
Financial literacy is powerful. Spread the knowledge. And don't forget to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more explorations like this one. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep aiming for that financial freedom.